What is up, guys, and welcome back to another video. This is the finale of Season 2 of F1 2020 Career Mode My Team. Technically, this is episode number 44. Let's see what can transpire in this episode. This is the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. It all comes down to this. Check out the previous episode if you haven't already, the Brazilian GP. Basically, we had a bit of momentum going into that race, and then Mercedes stole a little bit of that back with a wet race around that particular circuit. But in today's episode, this is how things stand. We lead by 7 points over Valtteri Bottas in the driver's standings. But in terms of the constructors, we trail by 10. So that's more of a concern for me. We ultimately want to win the constructors. That is the whole aim of my team. And yeah, I'm a bit nervous. We need to upgrade heading into this race. Thankfully, we've got a bit of time between Brazil and Abu Dhabi, and as we look to the R&D screen, we can squeeze in some aero updates before Abu Dhabi, or we can squeeze in any kind of minor upgrade. So we could go front and rear downforce, or we could go for the chassis side of things, which is tire wear. That's not going to help us over one lap pace, or just pace in general. So I think we're going to go back to the downforce side of things, and we're going to upgrade the front and rear downforce. We're going to rush it in. That's the only way we can get it in for in time for the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. There's nothing we can do engine-wise because we don't have any minor performance upgrades we can do, like power-wise. The only thing we can do is, say, ERS upgrades, which not going to really help me in terms of overall pace. And then there's fuel consumption, which could help, but to be honest, going for the downforce is more of a beneficial gain for us. So that's the route we've gone down. We've now fast forward time, and unfortunately, the rear downforce upgrade has failed. But thankfully, we did get the front downforce upgrade on, so the car should be a little bit more pointy at high speed. So that is all we can do upgrade-wise. Now it'll come down to us to deliver on circuit on the race weekend. We move into said weekend, and looks like Mercedes have kept pace with us. They have upgraded a minor facets of one of the departments. We don't know which, but yeah, it is pretty much status quo. It's important to get that upgrade in, that downforce upgrade, because if we didn't, then Mercedes would be even closer, and they're already fast enough as they are, with a bit of a performance dip compared to the two teams. So yeah, we're certainly going to have our work cut out for us. There is a bit of a gap in the R&D charts, but you can't really look into that all too much because on-track performance is what matters most. But anyway, we move on to Friday practice, and it was quite important for me to get dialed into this circuit, get used to the game again. I have been in London for a few days, and this is actually my first day back. I did do a 50% online race at Spa, and that's kind of the only practice I've had prior to doing this. But that's not an excuse. I'm fully dialed into the game, or pretty well dialed into the game. So we shouldn't be rusty at all as we head through the final corner of our practice qualifying lap. And it puts us top of the table by 1.8 seconds over Mercedes. Worth mentioning at this point, we've got a good engine still in the bank. And I tend to lower the difficulty for practice sessions. I don't know if that's something that you guys are aware of, but that's something I do. Because sometimes the practice programs are unbelievably difficult. And they don't need to be that difficult. So that just helps me glide through the race weekends that little bit more. But as we get to qualifying, we up the difficulty back up to the maximum. And we go from there. So I think we're ready now for the crucial parts of the weekend, qualifying for the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. Ideally, we need a top 4. Hopefully, George Russell can get somewhere on the front row. And then it's just a case of seeing where Mercedes land. There's a few other quick teams as well, which we'll need to watch out for.
Okay, I know you're eager to get out there, but I'm going to need you to be patient for a few minutes. We're just trying to zero in on an oil leak.
Wonderful. That's the last thing the team owner needs, who is in contention for the championship. But I guess we'll just sit tight and wait for that to fix itself. It looks like it has. As we now move on to later on in the session, George Russell has provisional pole with a 1 minute 30.4 It's high pressure weekend. There is a lot at stake. We could be the first owner-driver to win in their own car since Jack Brabham, fellow Australian, won in his car back in 1966. So let's see if we can make some Formula One history in today's career mode episode. At the moment, we are last place. With 9 minutes to go, we're going to hope that this is going to be the only lap that is required in this session before we progress into the next couple. But we round the final sector, final corner, 4th gear, up to the line, and it puts us P4. So that is a big sigh of relief for me as we move on to the next session. Valtteri Bottas, faster than George Russell. Faster than George Russell. We brought downforce upgrades, and Mercedes are still faster than us on circuit, despite us having a better car. That's why you can't read into the performance index, the R&D charts, overly much, which is pretty scary. But we move in onto Q2 now, and yeah, we went out on the mediums, and it put us last. We couldn't top anyone. It was crazy. The delta between the soft and the medium is crazy. Like, it didn't feel that great as a tire, and actually I felt quite oversteery on the medium, which in actual fact the medium should feel more understeery. But anyway, each their own. We move out to the end of the session now. Bolt on a fresh set of soft compound tires, and I tell you what, this is pressure, because this is my one and only shot at the end of the session to see if we can get into the next part of qualifying. Up to the line. Where does it put us? Thankfully, it is into Q3 with P4 on the grid, provisionally heading into the next session. George Russell tops the session on mediums. What? And to go with that, Valtteri Bottas is on mediums as well. So both of my rivals, my biggest rival, championship rival, Valtteri Bottas, starting on mediums. My teammate, who is got 100 pace and is in the best car, is starting on mediums in this race. I better hope like hell that George Russell has an amazing race in tomorrow's Grand Prix. Otherwise, this could be Valtteri's Grand Prix. Anyway, we move on to the final part of qualifying. I did set a banker time. I think it was decent, 1 minute 30.7, I believe, from memory. And we're now going to go out right at the end of the session. We are actually going to do the outlap ourselves to just guarantee that we don't run out of time at the end of the session, so I can keep the engine nice and cool, not put any stress on the tires as well. This is how seriously I am taking this final qualifying run. It could be a championship-defining moment. So we need to qualify well, and it all starts here with this final lap. 10 seconds to go, we cross the line. So we are the last one. We will be the last one to set a lap time. Everyone behind us is at the end of their flying lap, and the checkered flag is now out. So we will have the best of the track conditions. We are in P7 at the moment, and we need to find about 3/10 if we want to move up a considerable amount of places. George Russell bangs in the fastest lap of the entire weekend, a 1 minute 30.1, 6/10 clear of what I've done. That is scary pace, absolutely scary pace. But thankfully, I've noticed in the sector times that we are the best car, like by a mile, or not by a mile, but by a considerable margin through the middle sector. That being with our lower downforce, 4.7 wings. So we'll see if that can get us out of trouble here as we're 2.5 tenths up as we round up to the third sector. We need to dig deep. This third sector is where we lose a bit of our time, so need to really attack these curbs. This is all or nothing now. This could be for our championship. Through now into what would be I call it the hotel section. Let's round this then. 4th gear. I don't want to use 3rd here through this section of corners because it just induces wheel spin, and it actually bogs you down with momentum a little bit as well. Checking the tire temps, I thought I was overheating, but no, we're fine through the penultimate corner. Probably left a little bit of time on the table there because I was checking the tire temps, but we come across the line. P7, it's actually P4, and so we meet the sponsor goal, but we stay crucially within arm's reach of both of the Mercedes and my teammate George Russell. So the guys starting first and third on the right-hand side of the grid for the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix will be on mediums, myself and Lewis on softs. In a way, this could be a good thing because both teams have split strategies. But unfortunately, Bottas is on the contra strategy of starting on the mediums, meaning he could do a one-stop, or he will do a one-stop. We may have to do a two-stop, depending on how the tyre wear is. And now that I think about all this, maybe I should have done a tyre upgrade heading into this race. But that's just how it goes sometimes. 7 points. Just 7 points separates myself and Bottas heading into the final race. Ultimately, we need to make sure that Bottas doesn't win. Hopefully George takes that mantra. But the constructors is what I'm worried about. We need to outscore Mercedes by 10 points heading into this last race to make history in Formula 1.
Welcome to the Yas Marina circuit for the finale of another thrilling Formula 1 season. It's been a breathtaking year, and we end it at a track that's been the scene of many glories and heartbreaks over its history. It's time to end the season in style. It's time for the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. And so, for one final time this season, Anthony Davidson joins me in the commentary box.
Well, the winter break is looming once again. No doubt many of those teams already have their eyes firmly on next season. But there's still work to be done here. Still championship positions to decide, which can make a big difference to the prize money. So no one's going to be taking their foot off the throttle just yet.
We're still in with a shot at the driver's title. It's down to this. Now go out there and come back a champion.
I am so ready for this fight. Benjamin Daly versus Valtteri Bottas. Marduk Motorsport versus Mercedes for the constructors. Now, for this race strategy, I have literally weighed up every possible outcome. One stop soft to hard, one stop soft to medium. I've tried the double medium stint, I've tried the double soft stint, but at the end of the day, the faster strategy is soft, medium, medium. I wanted to go soft, medium, soft to maybe guarantee fastest lap versus those around me, but the only person I need to worry about in contention with is Hamilton, because he's on the same strategy. He'll be on the mediums at the end. I'm guessing the medium starters, Bottas and Russell, will go medium hard, so they won't be setting fastest laps, but we'll need to chase them down, and we need the tyres at the end to do so. So let's get ready for the finale. 22 races, and it all comes down to this. Lights out and away we go here in Abu Dhabi. We've got an absolutely perfect start there relative to Lewis Hamilton. We draw alongside there, and we take his position into turn one. That is a great start for our championship campaign, not only in the drivers but the constructors as well. P3 and 15 points against our name already in this Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. I need Russell to have the drive of his life. I need him to run off into the distance and win this race and just stop Bottas essentially from collecting the full 25. If Bottas wins the race, then I absolutely need to be in P2 in this race to have any chance of still winning the Drivers' Championship. If it's Bottas 1 and me 2, then we'll be level. It will have to come down to fastest laps maybe, but you can see Lewis Hamilton has had a shocker in this one. Didn't get off the line very well, but he's also been overtaken by Ricciardo and Sainz. So early stages, things are looking good in both the Drivers' and the Constructors' Championship campaigns, but there's still a long way to go. There could be driver retirements. I really, hand on heart, I do not want to win this championship, either of them, through failures. I want this to be decided on circuit in an almighty battle that lasts all race long. So let's see if we get that. Daniel Ricciardo on the pace. He's got the fastest lap of the Grand Prix, and he might actually close me in. So if it's a case of the medium compound being the better race tyre, then we're in trouble, because these two will roll us off into the distance, but thankfully that is not the case. I've used a lot of rich fuel mixture and overtake to be able to stay with Bottas in the opening couple of laps, because I knew that the DRS was coming. It's now arrived on lap 3, and now we're going to see if we can get on the front foot and make it a Marduk Motorsport 1-2 in the early stanza of this race and put both championships beyond doubt. We fake the inside, we go outside as we head into the third sector, the triple chicane, And we're going to pull off an outside move on Valtteri Bottas, our championship rival in this season of career mode. Here's the replay. Around the outside, Bottas, I think for the time being, doesn't have the better race tyre at this stage. But the soft goes off so quickly here in Abu Dhabi, it could quickly turn on its head once again. That's why I'm not going to get too ahead of myself. I'm thinking on the faster race strategy. That's why he's qualified on the mediums, so too with Russell. So I really need to play this tactically if I want to get the better of both Mercedes drivers today. I feel like I might only be able to beat one. As you can see, Hamilton and Vettel pumping in purple sectors, purple laps of their own.
George is ahead of you. Our gap to the car in front is 2.2 seconds. They're on old mediums. Their tyres are 3 laps old. We think they've got 2 stops remaining.
2 stops for George? Are you serious? So in the end, maybe that medium starting tyre strategy is all for nothing, because they're not going to go on to hards. Surely they're not going to go on to hards to finish off this race if both Russell and Bottas are doing a 2-stop in this race. You can see Bottas is coming back at us on the second back straight, but thankfully he doesn't have the legs at the back end of the straight to put us under pressure into the braking zone. So what this means is that Bottas and Russell, I think, are going to be on the same strategy as me. It's just that they're using their tyres in a different order. So at some stage, they're going to use soft compound tyres, maybe even in the next stint. That's unbelievable. Maybe the hard is just horrible around here. That might just be what it is. But in any case, we've overtaken Bottas, and we're getting to the end of our first stint. This is actually our pit window lap. But the tyres are well past their best. Getting wheel spin, locking up quite a bit here and there. I'm doing my best to truck along with these tyres, but honestly, they're absolutely gone at this stage. I'm just trying to hold out on this last lap and trying to hold on to this position before I make my pit stop. We're up in a rich and overtake, using all the tools at our disposal to keep him at bay. Unfortunately, I have to go back down to medium. We're running out of ERS. Bottas goes round the outside into the triple chicane, tries to pull off the same move I did on him, but not as cleanly though. It wasn't as decisive as us. We've run wide out of the exit of the triple chicane, and it's just getting a bit messy now. We do hold on to P2. You can see I'm angry at myself because I'm allowing George Russell to get away. Although that is helpful in the Constructors' Championship, I still want to win this race. I still want to win this race. That is definitely worth mentioning. But we are coming in at the end of this lap. We now made it to the pit lane, thankfully. But that was a really messy second half of that 7th lap. I wish I could have done that over again, because we probably dropped like 2 seconds to Russell on that lap alone. We just got caught up in the battle with Bottas. But never say never. There is still a lot to play out when it comes to the pit stops and people making when people making their first stops. They get caught up in the midfield, and that is probably what's going to happen for the race leaders. That always happens at this stage of the Grand Prix. So as long as George can get held, I shouldn't be wishing for George to get held up in traffic, but if he does, that can bring us back into it, and it can bring Bottas back into it as well. And meanwhile, we see Hamilton in. He's onto the medium compound tyres. So too is Carlos Sainz, who just came in. He's gone onto softs though. So Carlos Sainz effectively has P4 in this Grand Prix, P5 with Hamilton in P6. It's a bit confusing, but once all the midfield runners make their stops, it'll be a lot more clear as to who is where. But we are expecting the medium compound runners, that being George Russell and Valtteri Bottas, in around lap 11-ish. And then we'll know. Oh, they're in now. George is in now, lap 9. So forget everything I said there. I'm trying to go up the inside of my ex-teammate Mick Schumacher, and we do get in front of him on he's on old soft compound tyres in a Williams. That would feel absolutely atrocious. George is in for soft compound tyres, and that is very interesting. That almost confirms to me, that all but confirms that they're on the same strategy, both Bottas and Russell. So that whole gamble of qualifying on the mediums was really for nothing. It's so odd. But in any case, Bottas responds on the next lap. That could prove crucial as he has fresher tyres for the rest of the Grand Prix and maybe not so held up in traffic. So Bottas could well be a threat towards the end of this Grand Prix. He does get jumped by Sainz and Hamilton. As long as he can get through that traffic quickly, then he'll be okay. But Bottas's track record of getting through traffic in previous episodes, previous races, has not been good. Just think back to Mexico, for example. Russia as well, maybe. There's been some races where Bottas has been down the order and has just thrown away points. So let's see if he can pull his finger out in this finale. He really only needs to overtake Sainz. Hamilton, I assume, will just let him through for team orders for the championship. But meanwhile, you saw George Russell there just overtake Kevin Magnussen. Magnussen then pits at the end of this lap, and that relinquishes both the Marduk Motorsport boys to be 1-2 in this Abu Dhabi Grand Prix with 16 laps remaining. We are in the box C. We do have the fastest lap as well going for us as well, which will be an extra point for us. So as things stand, we're going to win the Constructors by, I don't know, 6 or 7 points or so. But Sainz, look at him there in P3. He's doing an absolute worldie of a job keeping the Mercedes at bay in that McLaren. They are up there in contention for the third best car in amongst Ferrari, Renault, name about 10 other different teams. They're all separated by not much. But Sainz, absolutely the man of the match so far. As you can see, Valtteri Bottas making a move on his teammate, and that does not look like it's team orders. Bottas actually had to work for that one. Nice overtake. He's definitely learned from me there as he makes his way up into P4 in this Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. 13 to go. And Mercedes, well, life is not looking good for them at this stage. As we fast forward time, you can see just the overall use of rich fuel mixture and our ERS deployment. You can see Sergio Perez is out of the Grand Prix, and we have a safety car in this Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. So there we go. The race looked like it was about to settle down for the rest of it, and just as I had those thoughts creep into my mind, the race completely gets turned on its head. So it is pit stop time for my teammate George Russell. Be interesting to see what tyre he goes on to, because we're about a lap or two away from our actual pit window. Some people might opt for hards, but I'm going to risk it and go to mediums and see what that means for us. It's a used set of mediums that we have to use for the end of the race, because the other set of mediums we qualified on in Q2, if you remember. But onto those tyres we go. George Russell boxes to medium, so too does Valtteri Bottas. Sainz as well. So it looks like it's going to be a straight up sprint race for the rest of this Grand Prix. As you can see, Lewis Hamilton is double stacking behind Bottas, and there's many other cars in the pit lane. One of the Ferraris, Charles Leclerc, Sebastian Vettel is in as well. And okay, alright, that's not so bad for Hamilton. I thought he was going to get held up massively, just like the US Grand Prix race. That's another one. US Grand Prix, Bottas couldn't move forward at all. So, yeah. Mercedes find themselves in a pickle again. Bottas has got decent track position. He's actually jumped Carlos Sainz for effective third in this race. There are still some cars around us that need to stop again, but Mercedes in the form of Lewis Hamilton have dropped a few spots. He dropped a spot to Daniel Ricciardo, and I believe he dropped a spot to Charles Leclerc, I'm guessing. But here we are. Safety car is coming in at the end of this lap, and with that we will have a 10-lap sprint to the end of this championship. We are effectively P2, with Stroll and Norris yet to make another stop in this race. So let's warm up these tyres, get ready, because this final 10 laps could be decisive in us winning our inaugural World Championship in the drivers and the constructors. Away we go for green flag running once more. K-Mag, I need you to do me an absolute job and keep Bottas at bay. Thankfully, he's in an Alfa Romeo, which is absolutely rapido in a straight line, as the Italians would say, I think. Any Italian fans, let me know. Was that right? Hopefully it was right. Lap 18. In the slipstream of Lando Norris, he presses his overtake button, and he actually stretches away from me there, which is rather interesting to see that Renault is maybe faster than us in a straight line. They're not in the corners, though, and we get them into the mini chicane between the two straights. P3 in this Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. Next up is Lance Stroll, who will be coming in very shortly. It's not this occasion though, unfortunately. George Russell with a 1 minute 33.0. That's unbelievable pace from my teammate. I think my best is like somewhere in the 34s, so I'm like a second off from that race-winning pace at this stage as I lose the back end out of turn 3 there. That is not great, but thankfully we're green to this first sector. We might sneak up the inside of Stroll here. We do, up the inside into the hairpin, and that is all thanks to my setup, which is amazing at low speed rotation. Thank you very much. That's P2, and now it's actually properly 1-2 in this race. Once again, we put cars between ourselves and Mercedes, and to Mercedes we say, come get us. With 9 laps to go. You can see this is my attempt at the fastest lap. We come across the line and only manage at 34.0. So we're a second off our teammates in effectively the same car, same tyres, but I think I've probably got a better setup than him. Strange.
Currently, the fastest lap is a 1 minute 33.0.
And just confirming for myself at the time, because I'd actually forgotten what George had done. It was, in fact, a 1 minute 33.0. There is absolutely no chance I can match that pace. I need to bolt on the soft, or I need to bolt on a fresh medium at this point now to be able to challenge that. I can't drag out a 33.0 on this set of tyres. Not on my own. That's just crazy pace. George Russell is on another planet. But anyway, we see the last of the midfield runners make their stops, with the exception of Kevin Magnussen, who is still holding up Valtteri Bottas. So that is really working into our favour as we lose the back end through the triple chicane. Gap is 5 seconds to Bottas, and there is 7 laps remaining in this Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. So, barring any kind of catastrophe, it looks like we're going to win both championships. But I must stress, there is still 4 laps to go and lots that can happen. There could be, honestly, there could be a DNF for either team, which could guarantee the championship, the Constructors' Championship, for whichever team has 2 cars left at the end. That's what I was thinking. I was constantly thinking this in this race, that the whole thing could come undone in the blink of an eye. And as we rounded the penultimate corner on lap 24, we got a penalty. 3 seconds to be added to our time at the end of the race. Gap to Bottas is 3.8. 3.9, as it stretches out through the middle sector, it'll come back down again through sector 3 as Bottas is faster there. But at this stage, we need to get the hammer down in order to keep Bottas at bay. Otherwise, if he gets within 3 seconds, it won't be a 1-2 for the team anymore. You can see I flew through there the second last corner because, well, that was actually a mistake. I didn't mean to do that. As we see Daniel Ricciardo now out of the Grand Prix. This guy needs a car that can, well, 1, challenge for wins, but 2, that can actually finish a bloody race. Every time Ricciardo is in a good position, car lets him down. He needs a good team. He needs a good team behind him. Could be Marduk Motorsport in Season 3. We'll have to wait and see. But here, you can see Lewis Hamilton. He gained a place on Ricciardo. And now he gains a place on Albon. And I think that means... I forgot about signs. The signs factor. It means that Mercedes have a 3-5 at this stage. Now... at the time of me driving this, I thought if Hamilton got up in a P4, then we'd be level on points if you exclude the fastest lap. But that's actually not the case. What needs to happen is Bottas needs to get up into P2, and then Hamilton needs to get in front of Sainz, and then there needs to be a fastest lap, which comes out of the woodwork for one of the Mercedes drivers, and in that case... they will win the Constructors. So that's the state of play for Mercedes right now. It is in their hands. Hamilton needs to close up 3 seconds to Sainz as we head on to this last lap of this Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. At this stage, Bottas is in P2. He's within 3 seconds of me, and there's nothing I can do about it now. It's all in the hands of Lewis Hamilton, who got held in the pit lane. who got held in the pit lane. They double stacked a Mercedes under safety car, and that's really cost them. It's cost them so much. Let's see if they can recover on this last lap and see if there's an is that Glock moment. For the drivers though, Bottas needs to win this race. And at this stage he needs to hope that I bottle it or Russell DNFs. That's how he wins this championship potentially. But we're just trying to hold on as best we can. This is the last lap of the Grand Prix, last lap of the championship. And we're just trying to keep him at arm's reach. You can see I've been using a lot of my fuel. I've been using a lot of my battery. Tyres are wearing off at this stage. I will say that's something as well. The tyres haven't been great in this Grand Prix. Tyre wear has really affected me. And in hindsight, maybe I should have gone for a tyre wear upgrade. Because maybe the other teams have outdeveloped us now in that facet of the chassis department. But we round now the final sector of the champion. I've gone in deep, Jesus. Come on, Ben, let's not throw this away now. Bottas is going to get us anyway. That's going to be absolutely fine. Russell rounds the final corner, and he is going to win this final race here in Abu Dhabi. And we can put one hand on the Constructors' Championship for now. We, however, still need to come around the final two corners. If we can do so, we'll be the first owner driver since Jack Brabham to win the drivers and the constructors in their own car. We've done it.
Fantastic drive, and it means you're drivers' world champion. What a result. Enjoy it.
Marduk Motorsport are world champions. What a season.
And so the celebrations begin, and well earned they are indeed. It may have looked simple at times, but as any racing driver will tell you, competing at this level, at the very top, is anything but simple. There's no counting them now then. We have a new World Drivers' Champion.
It is absolute jubilation for both sides of the garage. We celebrate the championship with the guys while George Russell is up, standing victorious in Parc Fermé. What a day for the team. Couldn't quite get the 1-2. My corner cutting abilities coming out strong there at the end to deny us that. But I tell you what, I was sweating buckets in that race. It was absolutely ridiculous, especially with that 3-second time penalty. I saw Lewis moving up into P4, P5-ish, whatever it was after Ricciardo retired. I knew he was getting close to Sainz, and it could have gone either way. If Mercedes had negotiated that whole pit stop phase that little bit better, we win the drivers by 4 points over Valtteri Bottas, really cutting it fine. Thankfully, George had the pace to steal that fastest lap over all of those drivers. Constructors, honestly, it really could have been decided if Mercedes had just managed the pit stops that bit better. If Hamilton could get in front of Sainz, that's 2 points extra they would have got there. And then if either one of their drivers, either of them, could have got a fastest lap, that would have been another 2-point swing, and Mercedes would have won the Constructors by 1 point. How crazy is that?
First of all, congratulations, you must be thrilled. How does it feel to be this year's Formula One champion?
Oh yeah, it's alright.
You must be thrilled to be up on the podium.
No, of course. It's, I feel very, very happy, very grateful to be up there with the greats now.
Will you be celebrating with your teammate tonight after their hard-earned victory?
Definitely. George really helped us win the Constructors today. He really pulled out all the stops.
How do you feel seeing your teammate up on the podium?
Very happy. Yeah, the pace all weekend. He was untouchable. And so with that unstoppable pace, I'll need to think about that for next season.
Appreciate your time.
I'm just joking, of course, but there we go. That is the end of Season 2 of F1 2020 Career Mode. Who would have thought we'd get there this quickly? I've got to say, the whole momentum we got R&D wise, the early stages, getting the Spec 2 upgrades was crazy. I didn't see this coming. I thought Season 1, we really had to grind at it, and then Season 2, everything just kind of came to us. Mercedes didn't upgrade. We didn't maximize all weekends. Neither did Mercedes, of course, but in the end, we were consistent enough, we were fast enough to be the deserving champions at the end of the season. And I really hope you guys enjoyed that season. That was highly satisfying to hang on in the end. It was really tit for tat right throughout the season, especially drivers championship-wise. It looked like for a time there, Bottas was going to run away with it. Then he had some shockers. Then it looked like I was going to run away with it. I had near on a race round wins lead at one stage, and then we kind of threw that away at various moments. Brazil was one. And then the Constructors was always a grind. It was never... I don't think... We never led the Constructors, did we? If we did, it might have been maybe around Zandvoort time, where we were starting to find our momentum. In any case, I do want to... I feel like we didn't lead the Constructors until the last race. But in any case, I feel like that's an unbelievable season. Hopefully you guys did enjoy this season of Career Mode. If you did, make sure you smash that like button. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. If you're not subscribed, what the hell have you been doing the last 44 episodes? But regardless, good fight today. Really had to work for it. Qualified P4. I really didn't feel like I had the pace of the top running guys this weekend, especially my teammate George. I had a good setup. I felt dialed in. I was nailing the corners, but still the lap time wasn't quite there. As always, it came to us a bit in the race. We had to really work hard to get past Bottas. We did that. We put cars between us. Worked out a good strategy. We really fought hard at the early stage of the Grand Prix, trying to keep him at bay. As you can see at this stage of the race, this is where our tyres really died off. And so life was very, very tricky at that stage. I thought, geez, I've really got my work cut out for me here today. But thankfully, the second half of the race opened up for us a little bit. Bottas stayed out long, got caught up in some traffic, and from there, Mercedes weren't quite as much of a threat. Safety car came out, turned the race on its head a little bit, but in the end, Marduk Motorsport proved to be too strong, and we go on to claim the drivers and the constructors in this season of Career Mode. Join me for Season 3 to see what we do with our teammate and the car. I can't wait to show you.